All volunteer organization that provides financial assistance for people seeking abortions in Connecticut. Welcome, Elise.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? My name is Elise. I work for the REACH Fund, the only abortion fund in the state of Connecticut. I'm so grateful to be here with you today. I asked a favorite tarot deck for guidance when I was writing this speech, and it showed me the world upside down.
Whoa.
It showed me a goddess who is said to be inviting us into our cosmic citizenship. And I think a lot of us in this room can relate to that because we want to be good citizens. We want to feel good about our place in the world. We want to take care of each other. We lead with our values and think about how our actions affect others. And I think that's why the world feels so upside down right now. We can't understand why empathy is a flaw or why rich people are shredding the social safety net. And as abortion funders, we are scared. For years, we've witnessed some of the ways that fascism exerts control over people. We worry not only about this administration, but about the people it emboldens. The Trump regime, on its third day back, pardoned 23 people for their violent acts against abortion providers, and at the same time, they are kidnapping and expelling people who advocate for peace. These 23 anti-abortion activists blocked abortion clinic entrances in violation of the FACE Act of 1994, which protects abortion seekers and providers. One group of protesters linked themselves together with blocks and chains to blockade a clinic. One protester pushed a nurse and caused her to sprain her ankle. Another crushed a clinic volunteer's hand in a door. Students at Yale can't congregate on the lawn. Trump's Department of Justice has also dropped charges against a protester who barricaded himself in a Planned Parenthood bathroom for hours. A group who posed as patients to get into a clinic and disrupt appointments. And people who forcefully grabbed a patient's body and told her not to go through with the abortion. The White House called these protesters nonviolent and directed the FBI to stop investigating other such cases. But they are directing ICE to go after anybody grounded. And these pardoned individuals say they intend to step up their attacks on abortion clinics soon. We found out about a gathering that's happening right now in Niantic, where they've got a very militant theme going on, and sounds very dangerous, but I can give you more information about that later. Clinics have seen increases in stalking, blockades, suspicious packages, invasions, and assault and battery in this decade. Forced birthers have released sting videos to falsely suggest Planned Parenthood illegally profits from fetal tissue donation. They publish the names and addresses of abortion providers and their spouses, photos of patients. One website lists abortionists with the names of abortion providers grayed out to indicate an injury and crossed out to indicate a fatality. And of course, since 1977, they've committed thousands of acts of violence against abortion patients, providers, and volunteers, including 11 murders, 42 bombings, 196 arsons, and 491 assaults. Who really has civil liberties while this is allowed and even encouraged? Who's allowed to organize and protest? Who's this government protect? We know that since 2022, the Department of Homeland Security has warned about right-wing domestic terrorists and their potential for violence. We know that immigrants commit fewer crimes than people born here. They don't want to get caught and deported. Common sense. The Trump regime says it's expelling violent criminals while a violent criminal sits in the Oval Office, while it commits crimes. Laws to commit violence against us. One of those laws is the Comstock Act of 1873, yes, the 19th century, which prevents circulation of obscene or lewd materials and anything about abortion or contraception. This law was written by a Civil War veteran who was appalled by the vices among his fellow soldiers, drinking, smoking, pornography, sex workers, etc. And right-wingers hope to use it to stop people from prescribing or shipping abortion pills. Reanimating the Comstock Act could prevent the REACH Fund from giving out Plan B and zines. Groups that educate students about safe sex, consent, sexual and gender identity, and contraceptives could be arrested. Doctors, as well as the Postal Service, FedEx, and UPS will be under scrutiny. I mean, look around your Options office. Everything in it was at some point chipped. The law carries up to 5 years in prison. Planned Parenthood's controversial founder, Margaret Sanger, was arrested because of her feminist magazine and she had to flee the country. Emma Goldman, the feminist and anarchist, was arrested twice and served time for Comstock violations. We take for granted that in the 21st century we know much more about sex and sexuality, our bodies and ourselves. That's because we are allowed to teach our children and each other. What happens when we don't have our freedom of speech and we can't educate the next generation? What happens when doctors can't tell their patients all their options? Well, that's already been happening. Abortion providers in 5 states have been required to lie to their patients. They have had to tell patients that fetuses can feel pain, that abortion is very risky, that it can threaten their fertility in the future, that it can increase their risk for breast cancer, that they will likely regret their decision. All false. 6 states have required abortion providers to tell patients that they can reverse their medication abortion with a shot of hormone progesterone. It does not work. It can really mess you up. Medical doctors do not have freedom of speech in their professional capacity. Patients are left bewildered, confused, and unable to make clear-eyed decisions about their health. In an already dysfunctional healthcare system, in an upside-down world, people seeking abortions also have to navigate around crisis pregnancy centers, which exist only to trick people out of getting abortions. CPCs look like medical facilities and position themselves near abortion providers. They advertise help and support for pregnant people. They have people in lab coats, but often no actual doctors. They provide ultrasounds, sometimes by untrained workers who put patients at risk. They collect people's personal information, but since they are not real medical facilities, HIPAA laws don't apply, so they can do whatever they want with that information. They tell patients that their pregnancy is not as far along as it is, so the patient thinks they have time to decide, and by the time they do decide, it's too late. They try to coerce people to not get an abortion. They promise to help with the baby, maybe provide a few diapers and some formula, and then they disappear. And best of all, they do it with your money. They get welfare, temporary aid for needy families money, and funds from some state governments that want to curtail our rights. Every state has more CPCs than actual abortion clinics. They say they do not have money for universal health care, but our government pays these people to lie to you and endanger your health. And that's just it. And at the same time, they're gutting funds for places like IRIS in New Haven, Integrated Refugee Immigrant Services, A Place to Nourish Your Health, and Planned Parenthood. And we're left with no one to look out for us but us. I said all this to say I really believe all the isms work the same, racism and sexism, and we can learn so much from the stories of other folks. If the environment's your thing, that's great. If misogyny is your thing, that's awesome, but all of them work the same, all of them work together. And it's very beneficial to study how the others work in order to learn how we can move forward, just individually and together. Unshakable solidarity. We love that. Thank you. And I think our next steps should incorporate education and mutual aid. We have a lot of knowledge about things like safe sex practices, de-escalation training, legal options for protesters and undocumented people, nutrition, and we can use teach-ins, virtual and in person, social media and pamphlets to help people learn about their options and access local resources. I would also like to see a vetted and verified private mutual aid resource. We talked about this at a gathering of abortion funds in Philadelphia last year because we do consider ourselves the mutual aid girlies. That's a non-gender term. So if people need a ride to the clinic, a shower, translation, they can find help. And if you have a spare couch or coat to donate, you would have a place to send it. Can you put up a railing at a disabled person's house? Can you sew, etc. We know people are going to be falling through the cracks, and we need to be there to catch them because we are good citizens. We have a vision of the kind of world we want to live in, and we can make it happen. I'm so glad we came out today, and I hope we can look back on this gathering as an invitation into our citizenship.